7:04. As you can see, I'm joined once again by the boys. Introduce yourselves.
I'll start. You can't see me.
Yeah, Will's off camera.
My name is Tank. You can go to call me Ford.
Anywho, I'm Trevor. Zach.
And this is a pre-recorded episode. Normally, the whole sports and entertainment recap comes out Monday, but I am not going to be here Monday, or at least in the segment before. So,
Where you going?
vacation.
Vacation. We in school.
Alright, so topic for today's episode. It's going to be the first of kind of moving to making some other episodes besides the type of recaps, and kind of some more specialty type episodes depending on the guest or depending on what's going on in the world. So with the NBA draft coming up, this episode is about the NBA draft. So without further ado, I'm going to start off with, number one pick belongs to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They got D-Loading, they got Cat. What do y'all think they need?
Let's see. I feel like they need a small forward because, there's a big gap. If you ever played 2K, you know what I'm talking about. From D-Lo to Cat, there's a big gap in between them three. Can you name the three other starting players on the Minnesota Timberwolves?
I told you D-Lo, Cat, and Malik Beasley.
Alright.
Did he just get suspended or something? I think he got arrested, bro.
He did. So he's
up. Getting arrested.
So then Anthony Edwards.
He's a shooting guard.
He's a shooting guard. But you know what I'm saying?
I feel like he would work.
Better.
That would be the best fit.
Because I don't think there's really a number top 3 pick worthy forward.
Yeah.
Daniel Avdija.
Deni is not.
Deni.
He's not.
He's not. You don't think he's the number one pick?
So
That's probably why they're trying to trade down because they don't want to waste the number one pick like that.
I mean, Anthony Edwards would be a good fit, for the long run.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be many picks. That's like.
Honestly, I don't see them moving Melo to a 2 or 3.
I don't really think Melo can play.
Yeah.
He definitely
play dog
can't
on
play
defense.
He's too strong
on defense for real.
So, and the guy I think is the projected number one pick, and who I think the Timberwolves will end up taking is Anthony Edwards. Of course, he plays the 2. We saw him play, if y'all remember, when Georgia came and scrimmaged Charlotte last year. Some of his strengths, he's a potentially great scorer. I know his scoring efficiency wasn't exactly great at Georgia last year, only 29% from 3, 40% from the field, but showed the ability. He showed the flashes of being a great scorer, averaged 18 points a game or 19 points a game. Fantastic athlete. Y'all saw it back in high school when he was, the number 2 or whatever, ranked prospect in the country. NBA ready body. Grew up playing football, and he's 6'5", 220 something. Looks like a tight end.
I ain't never seen nobody reclassify up to
He was
graduate.
ready, bro.
He was just ready. He was done. He was over with it.
He was bored. I feel like he probably got bored.
He really could have just went straight to the league.
Who?
You said Edwards could have.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean,
He got a little bigger at Georgia.
No, but
I feel like we'll get to that point when we go back to letting 18-year-olds go to the draft. Because the way the league's looking now, it's not so much
yeah, because guards are 6'7" now.
The league kind of shrinking in size.
A 6'7" guard, that's not okay. That really gets no hope for me and Trev.
It's Melo, bro.
Yes, that's an interesting trend. We're starting to see, especially in this draft class. There's a lot of bigger guards, but the big men aren't always.
They're like 6'9" now.
They're like 6'9".
We have 6 times.
I think
thing.
eventually the league's gonna come to everybody can play.
Same size.
You can play anybody at any position.
From the 1 to the 3,
Yeah.
from the 3 to the 5.
Yeah.
I see that.
I feel that. Some of Edwards is.
That just sounds real scary though.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be harder to make the league too, because you gotta be able to do every position.
You gotta do everything, bro.
But I feel like it'll be funner to watch.
It will. Imagine seeing Bam drop somebody you, and then let him up from 3. That's scary.
Imagine seeing somebody 7'1" dropping.
They have Paul George at shooting guard, and Paul George is
6'8".
Yeah, 6'8".
But yeah, once again, Edwards. As far as this is not, as I've said many times, it's not my favorite class. I feel like there's a lot of guys next year that, like Jalen Green, for example, or Cade Cunningham, that will go number 1 in this draft rather than the guys.
Wow.
Whoa.
Easy.
Cade Cunningham. I don't know about Jalen Green, but Cade Cunningham for sure.
Easy. They will go number 1.
So if they were in this class, you said
They
they
will
go
go
number
number 1.
I wouldn't say Jalen Green.
And that's not even just me saying that. That's NBA scouts that
Easy.
said that Jalen and Cade would go number 1 in this draft.
Jalen kind of small.
Some even.
They gonna get paid.
Yeah, but
He's not NBA right. I feel like you put him in like right now. Like you say in this year, you put Jalen Green in the league right now.
They gonna get him right
I
though.
don't think he.
They get, bro, because that's how.
Because I mean, look at Shy. Shy's not some like big
Look at
piece of wire.
Ja came in the league kind of small.
Yeah, but
That's just how the hooper body is in high school. You really just gotta be long and lanky in high school,
and then he's got an NBA.
and then they gonna get you right in the NBA.
Yeah, with some people's
Devin Booker?
It's only so much muscle you can put on somebody.
Jalen Green frame
Like KD. Like Kevin Durant, he can't put on that much muscle.
No, I agree.
But
with you.
Kevin
That is-
Durant
But he's strong.
works with it.
The Josh okay, that's like
He's
Josh.
strong.
I'm saying,
But like
looking at Jalen Green don't give me.
I feel like he just gotta find something else to
like play though.
improve on to make him a dog. Like everybody who has like a weakness,
He
they
can't
got one
contact.
thing you can't
He's
stop.
not taking contact.
I don't know about.
It brought it up with Jalen Green.
You can't put anybody on.
Jalen Green's a
I'll
great
honestly
starter.
put any other point guard against Jalen Green in the league right now, like starting point guards, contact to contact. I don't really see Jalen.
Jalen Green not finishing on Kemba.
No.
Okay, I'm talking about like Kyrie, John.
He's
Wall.
not finishing on Kyrie.
I don't think so.
Kyrie's pretty small, bro.
But
What about Deni? You think he's not finishing on Deni?
Okay. He's not as big.
It's a lot of
Okay,
point guards.
taller, like 6'2" up type point guards.
So you talking like Russ?
Okay, like bro.
Okay, but Russ. Like LeBron had trouble finishing on Russ.
Don't say that, bro. Don't say that.
LeBron had trouble finishing on Russ.
But that's what I'm saying, though. We're seeing bigger guards, right? We're seeing
Like
bigger,
taller, but they're not as strong.
Some
Bruh.
of these be too.
How many slashing guards are there left in the league? Probably like
Right now,
4.
not me.
Exactly. So that's really getting out
They're
of the way.
still a big body though. Like they're still strong. Just on the size.
I
Compared to
guess.
Jalen Green.
I mean, I feel like Jalen Green is kind of
And
on the league like
Jalen Green's
Curry.
not playing the one he's playing at the 2.
He's playing it too.
He's playing too.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
even,
he'll be a combo. No, he'll be a combo.
like you just saying Paul George is 6'8".
I mean, I can only really see him at the 2.
I mean, he's a natural too.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I think
Bro's
he's
a
I
dog.
think he's good.
Bro's a dog.
Yeah.
But once again, yeah, Edwards, his weaknesses. He still needs to develop defensively. At Georgia, they were actually better defensively, though that could have been partially because Georgia was, let's be honest, not a great team last year. They were around that 500 mark. They were better with him off the court defensively. That could be because he was expending more energy because he had a lead offensively or whatever it was. And like I said before, his scoring efficiency. I think his floor is almost Andrew Wiggins-esque. I think that could be the floor for Anthony Edwards if worst case scenario. What do y'all think his ceiling is? I have something right here, but what do you guys think Anthony Edwards' ceiling could be?
Ceiling?
It doesn't have to exactly be a player comp, but y'all can say almost like a player type.
What you mean?
Like
Like all NBA, all-star, or if he's like a...
I see him as like a consistent.
I don't think we could really talk about if a high school gonna be an all-star yet.
No, I'm talking about Edwards.
Like ceiling, like his ceiling.
his
Like,
ceiling.
His
Like,
ceiling. What do you think his potential?
I think he'll be like a consistent scorer, like in the long run, like 20 plus points a game type. Like coming in, I can see him maybe putting up like 13 to 15 range, like average.
I can see
But
Yeah.
You don't know if he's
I
going to
mean, like I feel like he has a lot of room for
he has the
improvement. But
potential to
like
be an all-star.
I could see him learning it.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to all-star, it doesn't even matter. Sometimes it don't even matter about how good you are. It equivalates on your team and how good you are. So it depends on where you get drafted. That if that happens or not.
I mean, I feel like if it was with Timberwolves, I feel like
He goes straight.
Like yeah.
But if he came to Charlotte,
If he came to Charlotte, I feel like it'd just be another King Block situation.
no, I feel like it'd be an MKG situation.
That's kind of
You're thinking like with different organizations that like
Yeah, you
Let's
develop
say-
differently.
yeah.
Like
His
whoever
brother
goes to
is-
the Warriors is gonna be great.
Oh yeah,
regardless.
speaking of the Warriors, that's actually the next team in the draft lottery. They got the second pick. I mean, I don't really need to list who they got. We all know who they got. I think the obvious picker is James Wiseman.
Definitely. That's what they need.
But
It's all they need.
It depends. It depends because they trying to get Giannis. But I don't think Giannis going there.
They don't need it. I feel like you look at them, they don't really need.
They don't need it.
Giannis.
But who wouldn't want
They
Giannis?
could.
But
Yeah, but who would? Yeah, you would.
I wouldn't ship my entire team for Giannis. If I had a team like the Heat or the Warriors, like they're going.
Is he not a free agent?
He is.
He's a free agent though.
They're trying to do the sign and trade, so they're trying to go all in on Giannis. But my thing is, if you know you're already a good team, why throw all that down the drain for one player? And it's not a guarantee.
I don't even think
But
it's
who you really
right.
trading for Giannis though?
First of all,
no
Curry
one
and Clay
has-
are untouchable.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And that's all you
have
need.
to offer.
Picks.
Second pick and Draymond Green.
That'll
Out
only
here.
take you so far. Like now you're telling me like the Bucks that they basically rebooted. That's a reboot for the Bucks.
That is a
taking
reboot.
picks. They're not.
But that's all you really can offer.
They're not making the playoffs next year.
But it's not really
That's
the
really-
Bucks' choice.
That's really
It's where Giannis wants to go.
Because Giannis is a free agent. He's not a restricted.
He's not.
You don't
Yeah.
have to
He's
play
not
for
free
it.
agent.
You don't have to.
He could go. He could go. He could really go and not care about the Bucks. It's really
If
And I think-
y'all think he would do that.
no.
he could pull up a
He's
line
staying.
and not play, bro.
And I think if he was smart, he would go to a team like you mentioned, the Heat, or even if they had the money, the Warriors. Because what Giannis needs is to be around a bunch of shooters to
Yeah.
help his place
Yeah.
out, to help spread out the floor.
I would.
Because right now in Milwaukee, he doesn't have that. So the game plan when they play Milwaukee is
like
Giannis shoot.
Giannis.
Yeah.
But then, what's stopping them from bringing people in from the Bucks? Like what's stopping people?
It's not a big market.
People don't want to go to.
Yeah.
But
I get what
I
you're
feel like
saying.
Giannis,
should
at this
attract.
point, Giannis is an attractive enough player where people want to play with him.
Yeah, but think about who's good right now. All the old, it's like everybody that's really like all stars are very old, so they want to go to like places where they can settle down. It's not like
I wouldn't want to go to Wisconsin.
we're in a weird generation right now. It's like everybody really good is old, or we're watching really young people get better. It's not like
We're in a transition period.
Yeah, like I think the last player that's like the youngest player that's like actually good is probably like 80.
Okay, honestly, I would say trade Chris Middleton. If you gonna let anyone walk in that situation,
Nobody wants Chris Middleton though. I'm sorry, no offense.
nobody. I mean, someone out there will take a solid point guard.
I feel like the only team that would take Chris Middleton would be the Hornets, because we're the Hornets.
Oh, God.
So Terry Rozier for Chris Middleton.
I'll take that.
Give us like a little second, like
Devontae Graham and Chris Middleton.
No, don't take it.
See what
Give us the Devontae. Yeah, that would work though.
It would work for the Bucks, but not us.
Y'all don't need him. Y'all not gonna do anything regardless. It doesn't matter who y'all have. Y'all can give us Peter Washington too if y'all
I
want.
don't even know who that is.
Yeah, he was our first round.
Oh, PJ Washington. Oh, did you say Peter?
I thought they.
Oh, I thought you said Peter. I was like,
Shouts to PJ Washington had a pretty good year. I mean, kind of by default.
we get like these athletic guards and don't play them. It make no sense.
Like Bridge.
Malik Monk, Miles Bridges, like they are like athletic,
Yeah.
but they don't.
I feel like honestly the Hornets didn't even let everyone go. Cause I feel like everyone here is like kind of slumped. Like they're not really going nowhere because the Hornets don't really do anything. They never do anything. Like I feel like Bridges and
Like,
Monk could be like.
It's the development. I feel like it's player
It's development. I don't think we have a developmental team.
Like, player development is kind of but.
PJ, I feel like PJ Washington will never really reach his season, like his ceiling.
It's in the show.
I feel like none of the young
I
players.
feel like all of them have potential to do some pretty.
It's just we don't have the development. I don't know why. Because if you remember, Kemba Walker was a super dog before he came to the Hornets, but he still
He was
only,
still a dog.
he was,
But
but
he was
he
there.
still was on the team that only won 7 games.
It took him some years, bro,
It took him a while.
to really get where he
His
is.
last, it was like he didn't make the first time he made an All-Star team. It was off of like people was getting
It was
hurt.
it was an injury reserve type thing. I guess.
Would you guys say it's possibly a coaching type thing?
The coaching.
Head
I
coach?
don't even know who our coach
Coaches.
is.
I'm okay.
I think we switched. We don't have
I
like
think
3
it's
coaches.
staff. Like I think like the Charlotte Hornets.
The organization.
The organization.
Here's what's crazy
They
about
about
it.
yes.
Here's the crazy. I mean, it comes down to the top. You have
James Brewer.
honestly the best basketball player to walk the face of the earth
Yeah,
running
but just because you're a good basketball player don't mean you're
That's
good.
what I was
Yeah,
going
you're
at.
good.
Like, but I'm saying it's crazy to watch the fact that Michael Jordan owns the team and they can never get anything done. Like,
That is kind of crazy.
it doesn't really go hand in hand if you think about it.
Yeah, they haven't won a
I
playoff
don't
game
think you
since
can
I've been
disagree
alive.
with Mike, bro. That's the thing. I don't think you can disagree with Mike.
So do you think Mike is
I think it's a whole bunch of yes men, bro.
Is it a team worth selling? If you was Mike, would you just sell a team? Someone.
I mean, obviously somebody will get it.
I see what you mean. It's more, I guess, not asking what Mike, because Mike.
I don't think Mike
It's
forces
more of
I feel like it's-
what would be best for the Hornets is what you're asking.
Yeah.
Also, that's an interesting contrast between the team picking second and the team picking third. We know the Warriors for being such a well-run franchise and the culture there. In the Hornets, it's just been well, I can't even really say up. It's been mostly downs.
Yeah.
And then there's no real defined culture. They've had little blimps, like you said, Kimba's run here, where it's been
That's the one.
just little bright glimpses
No.
of success.
We had a blimp. A was one,
Glimpses of success.
not multiple.
You wanna say
We had like 2 seasons of us going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and we got
We
swept.
lost in the first round.
Yeah, we didn't win again. We got swept. By LeBron. What you know?
We know
That happened. That
We know how that
happened.
goes.
What's he?
First round?
The one thing I do say the Hornets have is money. Like they could.
They're gonna have so
They
much
had-
money, but I feel
They
like
have
they're
the
gonna
potential to
waste
sign 2 people to a max. Like
They're gonna just waste it. I can see it right now.
But they always that's what I'm like.
they always give a lot of money to like somebody on the latter end of their prime.
Like y'all would get Draymond Green. Like y'all would
Yeah,
get
yeah,
we
we
would
would.
seriously give a super max to
Like-
Draymond Green.
Terry Rozier, Tony Parker, Dwight Howard,
And it'd be off of
Jeremy
one
Lin,
It'd be off of one good season.
Nick Batum. Like that's a whole starting 5 of washed players.
Classic Nick Batum. So.
Nick Batum.
I ain't gonna lie, he's kind of.
So to finish up, talking about Wiseman and the Warriors, his strength, legitimate 7-footer, great shot blocking. He's got great touch for such a 7-footer. However, his problem sometimes that effort. He doesn't have a consistent motor. He goes through foul trouble sometimes, and he has to improve his post moves. He's a freak athlete, but in the NBA, you gotta have some type of talent in post moves. There's a lot of great post defenders, such as Gobert. What is James Wiseman gonna do against a Rudy Gobert if he's got nothing to do in the post? He can't always use his athleticism to beat people. So, as we kind of started before I ended up there with the Warriors, the next pick belongs to the Charlotte Hornets. And the presumptive next pick would be Lamelo Ball, and we all have plenty to say about Lamelo Ball.
How tall are you and how much do you weigh?
Who?
You.
I'm 6'2",
And how much you weigh?
185.
So LaMelo Ball is 6'7" and only weighs 190. That's 5 inches on you, but only 5 pounds. That's scary to me. To be 6'7" in the NBA and
I
only
mean, but I feel like
190.
he's probably faster than me. Like, he's probably quicker than me.
Yeah.
Like, I could.
No, he's pretty quick.
I mean, he
Quick, like he's fast. Like he's OD fast
Okay.
for his height.
But like in the league, everybody's
Yeah,
like,
A little hot still.
You saying he's gonna be fragile?
yeah. He might. Does he get? He's injured. Is he injury prone? No.
He's not exactly injury prone, but he is coming off his NBL season was ended because of a foot injury. Here's what I've got for his strengths and weaknesses. Of course, we know he's got that elite playmaking ability. He's a great passer. The confidence play he plays with on the court, we all know about that. Creativity at the rim. He can finish with both hands, finishing in various ways. He's also a triple-double threat. He showed that the NBL was able to rebound despite, as we were mentioning, his slider size not the biggest dude. He was effective in getting rebounds. Plus, of course, we already knew about the play.
He gonna get there though. I feel like.
That's almost similar to his brother in the whole triple-double type
Like,
thing.
he can't jello. Like, he got the frame.
Yeah.
However, his problems are he is terribly inefficient shooting. He shot 37% from the field. He shot 25%, even though we see all those highlights of him pulling from half court and whatnot. He shot 25% from 3. Of course, we know he was, well, statistically, besides just the eye testing, which you can see, the worst defensive player in the NBL. Not just off of eye test, not just off of reputation. Statistically statistically speaking, the worst defensive player in the NBL.
So basically,
And his athleticism,
Well, I mean-
while he's a better athlete than I think we kind of give him credit for, he's not. Will he be able to keep up with the athletes we have in the NBA?
so
So I feel
basically,
like-
he's just a tall Trae Young who can't shoot.
But his big, I feel like this is Melo's biggest problem is
That's actually
he's still stuck in high school. Like he doesn't really have.
Yeah,
He doesn't
thank
have.
you.
He
never had a
doesn't
work
have discipline. Really like a
Yeah.
high IQ. Although he's like a really talented playmaker, he doesn't have that knowledge yet. Like what shots to take, what shots.
But that might be a good thing. He hasn't been coached, so he's probably coachable. Like he
But he
has
doesn't-
stuff to learn.
He has a lot to learn, but he doesn't scream teachable. Like out of most of the players in the draft, he doesn't scream.
Because
Like,
who's gonna teach him? Like he's
Well,
not. I feel like
he
he's
has-
not.
Well, I mean,
He's not gonna listen to a coach from Lithuania or a coach from Australia.
But he doesn't have much. Like I feel like Melo's the player where if you just tweak 2 or 3 things, he'd go off. Like
And
It's
now
also
I have
Harrison
it.
has got better though. Like you
put
have to
some
say
weight
that.
on, get your IQ up, and you don't have to play great defense, but just hold your own. Like those 3 things,
Yeah.
like he'd be set for a long time in the league.
He sounds like.
But I don't feel like he ever really get that playing with the Hornets.
What are you gonna say about my comparison?
About to as you said, the Trae Young thing. I was watching a video because I was watching about a bunch of footage. I have like the first 10 prospects or whatever. I did my own little scouting report about. And I was watching a video of the Ringer did, great website. You can see it on YouTube. I might show it out later. And that's exactly what they said. They said he could potentially, if he doesn't fix some of these things, we're looking at what's a Trae Young, because they were trying to figure out a comp for him, but there's really no comp. What's a Trae Young without a jump shot?
He's like Chris Paul.
No.
I mean, no. I mean,
Trae Young without a
But
shot,
even then,
he's
shooting,
not
he's not that
It's
inefficient
just-
as a shooter.
all he can do is pass.
He would just be passing.
Like we don't give him no credit.
It's just
for being a
Lonzo.
good passer, but
Lonzo.
Just Lonzo.
but for a short Lonzo.
But the thing is, but Lonzo
like
plays
Lonzo's
great
taller
defense.
than you.
Lonzo,
Lonzo plays good
Sure.
defense. So
Lonzo-
it's just Lonzo with no defense.
He's Lonzo with no defense.
Okay, so he sucks then. Like you're saying the best. You're taking the best part about these players and taking it away.
all he can do is pass. Like really, on a realistic level, all Trae Young can do is pass and he couldn't shoot because he doesn't play
Because
defense.
he doesn't play D at all.
So he does nothing.
Besides shooting.
So why is he number 1 if we're doing this?
Lamelo,
What makes him number 1?
because
his
people
potential.
see because his
Potential.
potential, because he has the elite playmaking skills.
Because with the
You see
eyes,
what he
you
can
can
do at
see
the
that.
rim.
You talking about Melo?
Yeah.
And because he's once again,
He
and this
has
is why I
room to
think,
grow.
like I said, Kate Cunningham would go first because he's
Ah.
6'7". Everybody's in love with the tall guard. Everybody's seeing what Luka did at Luka's 6'7", also
Yeah.
6'11". Also similar to another guy that people the Hornets have picking possibly here. But I'll get to after this. But people are in love with that whole the lean, the elusive big playmaker.
Yeah, but
Penny Hardaway would go first overall if he came around nowadays. People would be absolutely, I mean, the people went crazy back in the 90s, but
right.
people would be in love. But as you,
So you think like the league's gonna stop being defensive? Because like a lot of these big guards have no defense. Like Luka is a dog on the offensive side, but he plays no defense.
because of his lateral quickness.
Like a lot of the best players have no defense. Like Curry, everybody has like a supporting cast for them to play defense. So I feel like we're low-key getting farther and farther away.
I feel like
I think-
it's either you
Defense.
have really, really good defense on the team or you have a really, really good offense on the team.
I think it'll be.
It's really never both. Like
I
I
think
mean, it is
it'll-
sometimes.
Like the two-way player is starting to become diminished. Like
I think it'll become like. I think
A
we'll see
commodity.
that
I think it's
trend.
gonna be a commodity.
But because of that, great defensive players and great two-way players, there'll be a reemergence eventually.
yeah.
Because that's going to become a dominant force if, we've got this great offensive player, but you know what? This other team we got to play has this great two-way defender. Can play offense, kind of like almost Kawhi.
I see what's going on.
Kawhi and Paul George.
I think eventually
We're
that
not gonna talk about that.
we're not going to talk about the Clippers. I have slandered them enough alongside the Cowboys past 2 weeks. If you've seen past 2 episodes, you've seen the Cowboys slander after
Cowboys.
spread. But we're not going to talk about this NBA draft. Yeah, we mentioned Luka not too long ago, which brings me to the next prospect because I actually want to. A lot of people are comparing him to Luka, but Deni Avdija is not Luka Doncic. He is a 6'9", 215-pound point forward, and everybody sees the playmaking, everybody sees he played in Europe, and everybody goes, Luka. He is not Luka. He's not as good as a shooter as Luka. He was inefficient, though he's a great playmaker, though he has positional versatility. He has to work on his shooting. He's a great transition player, but he cannot play in the half court right now. He has to develop that. In his defending, though this one thing is similar to Luka, actually I'd say he's a little bit more athletic than Luka. But his lateral quickness, his side to side, really becomes a problem in defense because he's not laterally quick. Even though he has some balance, and you've seen him dunk on some people if you see his highlights, he doesn't have great lateral quickness, and that is a problem defensively.
He's also not a good free throw shooter.
Also, not yet, it's correct. That's also
He shoots 58% from the free throw.
58.
58.
They free.
Seven.
I'm sorry, that's one thing
Oh.
coaches always told me. You gotta make free throws, they free. Like,
Get your point.
get your
point.
Which is another thing because a lot of people say, well,
It's a fouling league now. They
That's
don't care.
it's a fouling league.
That's a liability.
Yeah.
And then people say from the amateur ranks to the pro ranks, free throw shooting translates to eventual three-point shooting capabilities. And if he's already sitting at 50% free throw shooting, I don't know if that shooting's ever going to come. Even though he's a great slasher, he's a great transition player, great playmaker, you got to be able to shoot in this league if you're going to be. If we've got him at what ESPN has him as the 4th ranked prospect,
Yeah.
I think that hurts his stock.
that hurts his stock to me, and what he can become as a player. Because right now, this sounds like this is a decent role player. This isn't a star. This isn't something I'm picking with a 4. This could be
Decent role.
he could be a solid starter. But if that shooting never comes, then you're just looking at a guy that's great in transition, can make the right plays, cutting wise, and is a secondary playmaker, which is fine. Not everybody needs to be a superstar. Some teams could use that. Some could say the Hornets need that, but the Hornets really need everything.
I think the Hornets need prime Michael Jordan to make it back. They need Michael Jordan.
They need to
Come out retired.
Yeah, come out retire.
Put one good summer in the gym break. Come out retired.
Something. Come
Yeah,
back like
he would
Michael.
still be real.
He probably would give us like a good 15 a game.
15.
Oof.
Off
Okay.
the shooting though. Off of just like he not going to the paint. I don't feel like Mike in his league not going to, but he can just shoot, man. Catch and shoot.
So, moving on to Deni into the next team in the draft. Speaking of Mike, we got the Chicago Bulls. Of course, they're led by Zach LaVine, who had a phenomenal year last year, but that's about it. I mean, they got Kobe White. They got Kobe
I feel like they're gonna be the breakout team.
Breakout team.
Like if you look at their team, they have everything they need. Like I don't know what happened to Lauri Markkinen last season, but he had a down season. But if he could find it again, how he was rising, he's gonna be real. Kobe White, a great point guard. Zach LaVine is a dog. I didn't realize that till really last season. So if they could just get one more piece and build the rest, they could be like
Isaac.
a playoff contender. I'm not gonna say.
That's what you think they need.
I said
Yeah,
OB.
I say get
Yeah,
OB.
OB. Yeah, OB.
Yeah.
So you're thinking more of like a small ball city like in.
I mean, nah, because they already got Wyndham.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have
They got
Wyndham.
a lot.
So, yeah, slide Mari, let me go into the 3, and then put OB at the
Lauri Markkinen at the 3.
That's scary.
He's
6'9",
slow.
but he's a shooter.
I understand that.
That would be
but,
a problem.
Okay, interchange him and Obi.
a small forward is the most dynamic position right now. Like small forwards have to literally be able to
I think
tap
Isaac
into everything.
So Isaac Okoro.
You need a mobile
Yeah, he
small
would be
forward,
because he's
not a stagnant.
Yeah.
Alright. Isaac Okoro, freshman from Auburn, played with LT with another incoming Auburn point guard. We got Sharif Cooper, special player.
He was
Isaac Okoro, the streets I got for him, he's an elite athlete, and he was one of the best defenders in college basketball last year. That's what he's known for. The real question with Okoro is, can he develop enough offensively to become a great two-way player and not just a great defender? He has shown flashes, but will he be able to develop that? Are the Bulls the right fit to develop that skill and insert that into a very young Bulls lineup and a very promising Bulls lineup?
Who's their coach?
It's not Woodbury, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's Okoro.
Ooh.
Is it really though?
Ooh,
We have Isaac Okoro going what, 5th?
Yeah, I was right.
He would be
Fourth? So you got him going fourth just off of defense.
Well, that's what I was going off of what everybody said.
Okay.
What I have on pick, well, he's a
great defender, but
his offense.
he shoots 29% from three and 67% from the free throw.
That's the problem.
And his 16 points per 40 minutes is the lowest scoring rate of any college player currently projected in the top 20.
Like I said, will he be able to defend? Do you trust him enough to be able to trust your coaching staff enough to develop him offensively to where he becomes that great two-way player that you would want to pick in the top five?
To me, he seems like Drew Holiday. Like, he can score a little bit, but it's never going to be enough to lead a team. But for defense, you can put him up there.
I was surprised to see him, to be completely honest, I was surprised to see him rise as high. Him and another person I have on this top 10 list that was in ESPN's top 10 that I looked at, I was surprised to see kind of reach into the top 10 because Okoro, even though he was a highly regarded recruit, he was only a 4-star. He wasn't this like campus guy. Even at Auburn, and maybe this was, I think they mentioned it in the ESPN article, maybe we'd have seen how he had affected winning if they'd have played in the tournament this year, which got canceled. But he never really grabbed my eye. He's a great defender, but that offensive game is so raw. You know, what do you have there?
ESPN has him at 7.
7,
Yeah.
What do you guys think y'all top 5 is?
Fourth.
Deni
I don't
Avdija.
know that much.
So who got the fourth overall pick?
The Bulls. The Bulls. So we were just talking
Who got
about
fifth?
the Cavs.
Okay, Cavs.
Ooh, the Cavs need what?
They got Colin Sexton. He had this.
They have guards.
I don't think they're
Yeah,
really
they
don't need guards.
They got guards.
They have guards, and they have Andre Drummond, who's
So-
like on the latter end of his prime.
Obi's
But
available, take Obi.
Or Deni.
is Kevin Love still there too, right?
Yeah, Kevin Love's not. I honestly, I trade Kevin Love at this point.
For
a
I think you
small
want to be
forward.
there, to be honest with you.
Trade Kevin Love for a solid small.
Actually,
forward.
I mean, you might be able to just keep. I feel like Kevin's enough low ego where he'd be the type of guy you could have his veteran leadership.
Yeah, I feel like
they
you
want
keep
to trade
Kevin Love for like the veteran leadership,
They
like
got Tristan Thompson.
Gordon Hayward. The Celtics don't need Gordon Hayward in my opinion.
They still got Matthew
They
Dillon.
said Gordon Hayward said he was trying to
Really?
yeah.
Oh, I did not hear that.
They got Kevin Porter Jr. They don't need guards.
They have guards, like dog guards. I feel like the only thing about the guards is like they're just
I feel like
they're too all over the place.
they're too young.
They're too young. Like
They need to be
They're
developed,
not
so we need time.
control.
Their team isn't really built to develop them. If you think about it, it's never really been built to develop anyone.
yeah, they had LeBron, and then they had
Kyrie
LeBron
was
again.
Kyrie, like off the rip.
Yeah,
LeBron was LeBron, but now you have people like Darius Garland and Kevin Porter
who need
and
that
Colin
guy.
Sexton that like it's 3 talented young players with no development. Like,
Dang.
And you said Obi Toppin. You said him back to back.
So what I'm hearing is like developmental staff is just as important as like
Yeah.
players and
Yes.
whatnot.
if you don't have God-given monster talented players, you have to develop your team.
Which is why teams like the Spurs, besides them getting 10 first of all, but back in the day, during those early years, getting guys like Tony Parker and Manu and being able to develop them over the course of time is what helped make them almost a dynasty. Same thing with Kawhi.
That's crazy. That's a cold down because like they're still good.
Still solid.
So I feel like
Great coaching can help elevate when you don't have a guy that's like Bron, Giannis, or KD.
Yeah, they've never.
When you have great coaching, you can
They've
help
never
elevate.
had that.
But I feel like there are so many teams in the league right now that's all they're missing is a great developmental staff. Like the Hornets, all these young players could honestly hold their own.
How do you get better developmental staff? Like, what can you do?
You just
Well,
need the right play. Like you need the right people to
You
train.
need right trainers. It's just trainers.
It's more than just one person. It's like the whole organization.
I would go in there and get them right.
And I think,
Oh no, that's simple.
I will go in there and get them
and I
right.
think the G League is becoming
it's
more
not
important,
hard.
especially with like Nick
As
Nurse
much-
came out of the G League for the Raptors. He won a couple of G League championships with them, and now he's their head coach. And you see what he's done with the Raptors so far.
As much as I slandered the Hornets, like deep down, I know I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan to the core. Like, really, like that's what I grew up on. I watched almost every game when they won 7 games.
So you say you know how to take heartbreak. Hey.
Yes.
You know,
I had to stop saying that though because it was just too heartbreaking to keep watching the Hornets.
So you gonna reveal this on
you kept
you
watching.
gonna reveal this on the camera, bro?
I mean that was like the thing between me and my dad. Me and my dad were Hornets fans. We're like Bobcats and Hornets fans. So it was like
I respect it.
it was like a loyalty thing, but you know.
with a Muzzy Buzz jersey somewhere in your
I could probably tell you if you showed me a picture like the 2007, 2008 Bobcats team, I could probably name every single person.
Shout out to Mecca Okafor and Gerald Wallace, Jay Rich,
Gerald Henderson.
Jay Henderson.
Like,
That boy was a fan.
I had the poster in my room.
But yeah, you mentioned Obi Toppin, so I'll go through his. Like, of course, as some of y'all may know, reigning National Player of the Year in college basketball, was the best player in college basketball last year. He's an elite interior finisher. He's got an array of moves he can pull out. Lobs. He has led the country in dunks last year as a 6'9". They had him playing the 5. He's probably more of a forward in the NBA. Elite athleticism in that category, in playing above the rim. He was a great defender. I lost it. Explosive in transition, excuse me. Versatile in offense, I kind of mentioned that. The only problem is not excellent lateral quickness. So despite him being a pretty good defender in college, you could even say good defender, in the NBA, where exactly do you want to play him?
I'll say put him at like an interchangeable 3 or 4. But I feel like he has to get faster. He has to get quicker. And he definitely has to get a shot. Because I don't feel like he really has a shot right now. He has a
If you don't develop
solid
he's
shot, but
gonna
not
look
like
like
consistent shot.
He's also coming into the league older than a lot of people.
He is
he's
like
20. He's 22.
Yeah.
That's what scares a lot of teams though.
Yeah.
He's had
Because
time.
like he had time to develop.
What if this is his ceiling? Like at 22.
That's another thing people were talking about.
Like 22, that's like your second, third season in the league. So it's like, how much more can you teach somebody that's 22? Like he's still young.
He's still
You
young.
can still
I don't feel like
do
they
it.
really like reached that peak in development until like 26, 27.
Right.
But still, yeah.
But I mean, he still has time to develop. Like,
Which also brings up another thing is that probably raises because he's been through college. We've seen him succeed at that level. That brings what he is as a player. It brings his ceiling up, but what his potential actually is probably lower than maybe what you would expect.
I don't feel like Obi has to be. I don't feel like Obi has to be their player.
Has to be a
Like,
superstar.
he doesn't have to lead the team.
Like he was at Deni.
Like he can be a consistent second, third option in the league, and people will know his name. Like
Probably.
a Draymond type
Uh,
role.
I feel like he works as like a Bam.
A Bam, well, Bam like.
Oh,
Bam
I got
is-
a Bam clone to talk about.
Bam is too much. He's kind of the second option. For the
Yeah,
team.
he's the second option for the Heat. Chris.
But I'd say like he's
Talking
more of a
about
third option.
Yeah.
Who? Obi? You
Obi. Like
think?
Obi's more of a third option. Like at his ceiling, he'll probably put up 17 points a game on average type.
He might be a great fit for the Warriors though.
Right.
They don't get James Wiseman.
Anybody can get this.
Not LaMelo. They don't
No,
get
yeah,
LaMelo.
LaMelo.
LaMelo would be terrible. They
Actually,
get
no,
him
no.
right. They would get him because the Warriors developmental staff has
It
to
would be
keep
like
him.
having D'Lo on the team.
Yeah, that's the
Like
Yeah, but
Too
he
many
was
guards.
injured. He was like
I know what I'm
injured.
saying. Like it would be like
having D'Lo with a
I
better,
hope
better
the team-
playmaker.
Right.
a healthy team with D'Lo on it. That's the same.
Yeah, because we
situation.
played 2K when like all three of them on the same like it was no defense being played. Like it was just Draymond and Marquise Chris.
And we mentioned, you just mentioned Bam, and actually there's a guy that a lot of scouts are comparing to Bam in this draft. And the Hawks who have the next pick probably would be in consideration for this guy. Of course, Big O, Onyeka Okongwu, the second Chino Hills player listed here in the top 10. Yeah.
I was waiting for you. I was going down my list. I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
Did we skip somebody?
I didn't know who that was at first. I was wondering what that name sounded
Yeah. He was a dog at USC. I mean, he was already a 5-star coming in, but he played well above expectation. He is an elite interior finisher. Once again, similar to Obi, great in lob situations. He was one of the best defenders in college basketball, even as an undersized center. He had 1.6 steals a game, 3.5 blocks. very well built. He's not a guy that's going to get bullied a lot, even though he's undersized. He plays with a lot of physicality. I saw when I was watching footage, watching film. However, as we know in the league, a lot of big men are being able to shoot now. Big O, he needs to. That's something he probably needs to work on.
He took 10 threes in 42 high school games.
Correct. Yeah.
And went 1 for 4.
In USC.
Yeah.
So his action is not very.
It's not really necessary though. As a 5.
I feel like for where he,
For his
need,
Not undersized though.
Because even Bam has kind of gotten.
Yeah, Bam had to develop.
Bam kind of has a little shot.
Yeah.
Like we get
Mid-range.
Yeah, mid-range.
He's not pulling from three, but like mid-range wise.
I think the centers pulling threes kind of might be ruining like the league and like younger players because now you can't just be tall.
Yeah, that's one thing I like.
But that's a skill.
Like 80 type messed up the league.
I feel like it's kind of overhyped because like I feel like there are centers that shoot threes in the league, but there's not as many as we make it seem sometimes.
Okay, AD.
Everyone's not just pulling up.
80 and Cat.
Well, just say big man. Just say big man.
80 and Cat. Can I put Laurie Markkinen up there?
Jokic can shoot threes.
Joel Embiid can shoot threes.
Mm-hmm.
And Jokic. But those are like the best. That's
the best.
really the top 5.
Exactly.
That's really top 5
Everyone's
centers.
not pulling. Like,
but the top 5 centers
you
are.
don't have to be top 5. Like you don't.
But you want to be.
You want to be.
You want to be the
But I'm saying like okay, but I'm like what I meant to say. Like what I meant to say is like you don't have to shoot to be a top 5 center. Like you could be a monster defender.
We just named the top 5 centers. They all shoot.
I see what I'm trying to say.
Okay, top 10 now.
Okay. So, but you don't have to. You can get to the top 5 without shooting. What I'm saying.
You better be a dog.
And that's why I'm focused more on what you're good at right now. Because I feel like if you try too hard to develop a shot, you're wasting time on what you could be doing to perfect what you're already great at.
And my counter argument to that, no, I see your point, and this doesn't exactly fit because he was off on defense. This is almost similar to the Jahlil Okafor versus Karl Anthony Towns argument from a couple of years ago. Jill was he would have been a phenomenal center back in the 90s.
Alright.
However, he had no type of outside shot, and he wasn't great on defense. Similar to, like Cat, who, as we know, can shoot outside, is a little bit more versatile in what he can do and his skill set. That's also something I kind of tried to mention earlier when I was talking about Wiseman and how he needs to develop some type of post moves. Because right now he's relying off of athleticism, which is lobs, and him cutting, him just being faster than everybody. And of course, he's got the outside shot, hence him being nicknamed somewhat the unicorn at Memphis, which he kind of stole from Jalen Green, but we'll talk about later.
I feel like Cat put a ceiling on himself. I don't really like Cat.
That I'm kind of.
I feel like
I'm kind of wondering what his.
both of them is kind of like they both kind of Cat right now. Like D'Lo and Cat. Like I feel like
I don't think D'Lo has a Cat. I don't think D'Lo not done yet. I don't feel like he's not done yet.
That's why I think them.
I just think he just be getting passed around, so it messes with him as his mental.
I feel like they're both kind of complacent.
Not D'Lo. D'Lo became a dog after
He's
he left
a
the
dog
Lakers.
now, but I feel like I don't really see him getting any better than he is right now. But he's like, I feel like where he's
gotta
gotten
get a
the
little
past 2 years is where he's just gonna.
I just think I feel like the trading. I feel like the trading is doing something to him, like mentally. Like he could. You think you're one of the best players, and you keep getting traded, like.
But it's not because of how you play though.
It's not because of how he plays.
Like that first one was just on some immature stuff. But
Right. And the second one was just KD.
Yeah, like.
And the third one, the Warriors don't need it.
So it's not like it was never you got traded because you weren't good enough. So I don't feel like it really messed with.
But wouldn't that hurt you more? You weren't good enough to not get traded because you weren't.
You're not KD, and you're not Steph or Clay.
That's a problem.
Like, exactly what I'm saying. Like out of the three of them.
But as a basketball player, you want to be that good. I would want to be that good. I wouldn't want to get.
You want to be an untouchable player.
That's like I'm not Zay, so I can't be in the group. Like what?
I feel like the way the league is now, if you aren't a certain 5 or 10 people, you're eligible to get traded. You're not like that.
It really is probably only like 5 people that are.
It's like 5 or 10 people in the league that
Truly
are just truly untouchable.
I think it's probably only 5. Because
I mean, it's a lot of that's like
After this past season, a lot of people's true colors have showed, and even my top 3 players has really changed.
Really?
Yeah, I've forgiven KD, so he's back as my number 1 player.
And the other element with KD is how he's going to come back from that Achilles injury, because we've seen players not come back
Damn,
the same.
he can't cuss. He's fudging KD. Like,
I
it
mean,
don't matter. I feel like the kid, he's not.
Because his game doesn't rely on athleticism.
Yeah, his game.
And I wasn't saying. I was
Yeah,
just saying. I was just
his
saying.
game relies on literally jumping over you and shooting. Like,
his game isn't athletically based.
yeah, like
It's like
LeBron hurt his
one or two-
Achilles. I'd be scared, especially at his age.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the money he puts in his body, though, he bounces back. He wouldn't be like a monster anymore, but he'd still be giving us buckets.
It'll be a step behind, but he'll still be getting buckets.
Yeah, I don't think.
He might rely on him.
I think KD's gonna be a step
I
behind, but I don't think he's gonna be like.
feel like KD's gonna be slower, but that's it.
Yeah, he's gonna be slower.
He's still gonna hit us with the 1-2 little crossover.
And like you said, he could still very much so be the
I still
type of player.
think he's gonna be like.
I'd hate for LeBron to like retire as not the best player in the world. Like,
That's
I
what-
don't
I don't
want to
wanna
see
see
his
that. I don't wanna see
decline.
that. That's a weird
That would
concept.
hurt. That would hurt my soul to see.
Like, I feel like LeBron honestly has 2 years left.
Like, even though I
He
think
needs to leave after like 1 or 2 years. Like,
I don't want to see decline. Like, I don't want to see decline.
So they're-
under 20. I don't want to see
so-
that under 20.
theoretically speaking, well, what benchmark do you want him to, or you just firm on 2 years, or do you want to see him get the scoring record? Then he goes. You want to see him get to 6 maybe?
the
and
scoring
then-
record,
like,
like
he'll
of
get
all
into-
time.
Yeah.
How many
he's-
more points does he need?
He's not that fucking.
I feel
third on the
like he
list.
can do it too.
I want to see him play with LeBron.
Ain't it like
I
7,000?
see LeBron get in the league first.
I mean, well, how much he's aware?
Just imagine playing with your son.
I forget how.
Like, dog.
But I never did. He's only.
He can do it.
He's only 4,000 away.
like,
Or from
He's
like
actually
no,
less than 4,000 away.
from number 1.
yeah.
From Kareem. Kareem has.
Wow, he can do that. He can do that.
Kareem has 38,387. Braun has 34,200.
That would be a sad moment. Like,
If he beats, what if
He
he beats
kinda
on his
know.
last game when
He
he
kinda
retires?
know,
Like, that is the perfect way to go out. I'm gonna cry though.
it's coming soon. Like, it's sad to say, but that
LeBron era is about to end.
You wanna know what we
We
talking
have
about?
like
It's
2
crazy
to
because
4 years
we're
left.
really gonna be the top dog. We really
No.
grew up in that era. Like,
Luka.
We don't know yet. It's Giannis right now, but a lot could change in 3 to 4 years.
It's hurting me.
Like, we
Bro,
kind of,
LeBron go, I'm
we
like-
always bashing LeBron. Like, the world is always
People
bashing
always
LeBron.
hating on LeBron.
But he's never had a bad season.
Never.
He's always been like
He's
he's
been
getting
a
better
model
with
of
time.
longevity.
He is the only person I know that's getting better. With
And
time.
which is the reason why we could see him playing for.
So
We don't really
long,
see
like-
him retiring. It's because he's been able to adapt his game.
LeBron is really on
Even
Michael
though we
Jordan.
know him as a,
Generation.
yeah, we know
Yeah,
him
honestly,
as.
he's more consistent than Mike. Like he age like decline wise. Like
Oh yeah.
he's more consistent than Michael.
Yeah, because we know.
But
Bron
Michael
is-
was a dog. He
Michael
quit
was
his
a dog.
sport. He
Exactly.
quit the sport, came back, and won another 3 rings. I don't think LeBron.
But LeBron has always been solid. He's never had a bad year.
Yeah,
He's never had
LeBron has just played some crazy
like it
teams.
seems like as he gets older, his other stats go up too. Like he's more of a passer.
Yeah,
He's
the only thing about
he's a
LeBron
smart
that
player.
people can like argue against is just like his losing. Like he loses a lot.
He's like that's always. I feel like
it's
although
also
it doesn't
just
look good,
I don't
it's
think
not as important as
You gotta think
You
about
gotta
his
look at the
competition,
teams he
bro.
played though.
It
Like,
depends on that's the.
Like,
that's
bro,
how I'm looking
he be
at
playing
it.
like all the teams he be losing to really be
I'm
Hall
sorry,
of
bro.
Fame
If you
teams.
switch Jordan into like LeBron's teams,
It would have been.
it's gonna be about the same, bro.
Which is the argument
I
for
just can't see
Bron
Mike
getting
in
go.
I don't see Mike. I
Because when
can't
you,
see
because
Mike.
when you,
Mike wouldn't fit in today's league.
because when he
He be a dog, but
I
not
feel
the
like
way
he'd be like a James Harden. I feel like he would lead the league in points. Like I feel like he'd be like a James.
No, 'cause
He
like-
won Defensive Player of the Year too.
I know, but like it's a lot of back then it was nobody else doing what Mike is doing. Now you got like players jumping at the gym off regular. Like
Like
it's
that's what
kind
I'm
of
saying.
regular.
Like he still probably be giving buckets. Like,
Mike wouldn't be Michael Jordan in today's league. That's what I'm saying. He fit his time. Like all these different
So I
players.
feel like he'll be more hated.
That's a scorch.
For sure. We got social
A
media.
lot more hated.
Like yeah.
You was hating Michael Jordan in newspapers, like you had to come on, like you had to now. Like, KD really be going back and forth between.
He has burners.
But not like
Yeah,
He doesn't care no more. I
back in
promise
the day.
you. He will respond to you with his actual account.
But okay, 'cause I remember back in the day, like he actually
He
had
had
burner
burners.
accounts. Like, I remember that. Like he claimed them. Like he claimed those accounts.
Alright, we should probably get back to the track.
Back to the kind of took a little left. Moving on, and we're now kind of into that. Who's next in the draft? Even though I'm really going to be talking about the prospects now. We're into that Pistons, Knicks, Wizards type range just to get an idea of the teams that are picking here. Also, the Suns are picking 10th. But the next prospect I have here is, of course, Tyrese Haliburton of Iowa State. I first heard about Haliburton when he was on the U19 team for Team USA. I think that was the team, however, that got slaughtered by RJ Barrett. We won't talk about that one though. But I was shocked to see him make it. But saw him play at Iowa State. He showed out before the injury, of course. But he's got great size for a point guard. He's got great basketball IQ and passing ability. He's a reliable shooter. And because of his size, though his frame is a little slight, it's something that scouts think he needs to build up a little bit more strength. He has a ton of upside. His weaknesses right now, off of what I saw and what I've heard, his shot creating and his shot mechanics, and mostly because of his shot mechanics, are kind of limiting as an awkward looking jump shot if you see it. And that affects him off the dribble. He did a lot of stuff off the ball, and also, like I said earlier, he needs to get stronger. Haliburton, speak.
All right. So first of all, I just want to say out of all the players in like draft right now, honestly, probably the best passer. Like the best passer in the draft right now as we have it. Has a bit of a three shot. It's not consistent, but I feel like it's one of those things that can be coached out of. Like,
Yeah, I'm looking.
If done right,
I want to see a jumper. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
it has somewhere. It can use somewhere.
However, it was reliable. He hit, I think, almost
But
close to
it's-
40%.
It's better than being a Markel Fultz where you had a shot and lost it.
it's a lot of passing in these.
Like I said, exactly.
He's
Like,
great.
he's a great passer.
Great basketball IQ. He's a
Like-
great passer.
It's one of those situations where if the Bucks could get him, that's the point guard they might want to fit. To be honest.
They right now, according to like ESPN, I say he's like a passing Klay Thompson. It says the second.
He
year
just like he
Thompson.
shoots threes and he passes the
I
ball.
want to see the jumper though.
I talked to.
6'5".
Is that a jumper?
His
So, I mean,
ESPN measurements are.
Put a little. He has a frame where he could build muscle. So
Yeah,
all he
yeah.
really needs is like 15, 20 pounds, and a more consistent shot. Cause he plays great defense too.
6'5", 175. Yeah, he's got great length.
Okay,
Like,
so
6'7".
Like, he's a good. Like he's a.
It's not wrong with his jumper. He just doesn't jump much when he shoots.
And it's kind of
But it could be coached. Like it could be coached.
I don't know, because I do the same. I don't really jump when I shoot, and I don't think you can take that away from me. Like, I know.
If he was in the league and it was out there pushing
Shooting coaches.
how we train for anything and how people in the league train.
True.
is
They could probably
completely
coach me out of it. I feel like you could take anybody who really wants to learn and make them into like an NBA like player. Like, if they really want to grind like that. Because I feel like, bruh, give me 2 years for Chris Paul, I'll be a role player.
As long as they have pros. As long as they have.
Yeah. Hey, that's 2 years.
Chris Paul is probably like,
As
bro,
long as they
2
have
years?
full size.
There are people that
2 years, I don't have to do
Chris Paul that are
anything
like
else.
that.
I don't gotta worry about work, school,
2 years
food,
straight.
energy.
So you just train to. So
I'm
that's
literally
that's-
from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. If that's what I do for 2
So you
years,
Danielson?
I feel like I could be a possible G League player.
That's a lot of work just to be G League.
It's
I'm
funny.
5'10".
Trev, you remember 10,000 hours?
Yeah.
That's basically that.
Yeah.
Them players didn't make it.
Yeah, they didn't make it that far.
So you mentioned.
I remember
basically-
watching that though. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I remember watching that.
I don't
Watching
know, like,
people.
He looks
run
great
like
for the
that
past
and
month.
not
Bro,
Like, I'm
he's like,
watching his highlights.
Wasn't
there's a lot
Trevor
of teams
Dunbar?
that could benefit from having
that?
that.
Was he on 10,000 hours?
I don't know if he trained with
You're
you.
right. The Bucks would be great.
My bad,
The Bucks would
Back
be
to
great.
the guy.
The Bucks would be great.
Like the Bucks
Yeah.
would do
Well,
great.
because that brings attention to him. Like,
Exactly. Like,
he's quick. He was quick. Like,
him.
Who do you
Chris
trade up
Paul.
with in the top 10 to get him now? Because he's going to be around, let's say, that Pistons.
7.
Knicks.
You got trade.
This is with
Pistons.
He's going to trade with Detroit.
Because if Detroit doesn't grab him, New York will. Him and RJ. I feel like in who's the
New York doesn't have a shooter. Julius Randle's they center in New York.
No. It's Mitchell Robinson.
Okay, Mitchell Robinson.
So yeah, Mitchell Robinson, Julius.
I feel like Tyrese Haliburton, you need somebody who could score. Like
That's
you gotta pair him with somebody who could shoot or score.
RJ
So what about the Wizards with Bradley Beal? Haliburton and Beal.
But
That'd be raw. That'd be
so you're
real.
saying get rid of John Wall?
No, you're not getting rid of John Wall.
That means you gotta let John. It's gonna get to the
John
point.
Wall.
First of all, we gotta see how John Wall
Come
comes
back.
back.
Tyrese got drafted by the Wizards.
John
Wall's gonna leave.
Who's the Suns?
John Wall's
Who's the
not
Suns
gonna
point
be there.
Wait, what pick do the Hawks have?
The Hawks have this could also he also factor the sixth.
So what do the Suns have?
Who's the Suns point guard?
The Suns point guard?
It's Ricky
Ricky
Rubio.
Rubio.
Like they would be
No.
real. They would be real.
And
The
definitely-
Suns need to get
That's what I'm
Tyrese.
like.
that's in range. That's
the
in range.
ultimate point guard.
Bro, we watching the draft together.
Fit-wise, Tyrese is honestly the best pick for anyone that needs a point guard.
You gonna have like a live 815 exchange on the draft?
I mean, we can.
Alright, let's do that. Let's
looking
do
for a
that.
way to diversify the channel.
Yeah.
You mentioned that idea of taking an NBA player and taking somebody who just has prototypical size and then developing them over time, correct?
Right.
Well, the next prospect who hits home for a couple of y'all is exactly that. is exactly that. Patrick Williams is rated this high. I'm gonna be completely honest, with all due respect, because of his potential. Here are my I guess strengths and weaknesses. His strengths is his upside, and he played great defense at Florida State. His weaknesses, or whatever comment I have to say, is raw in all caps. He is a raw talent. He's going straight to the G League. This is not meant disrespectfully. He's going straight to the G League for development. He wasn't the head guy at Florida State. That was more Devin Vassell, I think he's the 12th guy on the draft board. But tons of upside. He's kind of been doing this since high school, when he overtook Wendell Moore very, very late in the process to become the number one prospect in North Carolina and became a 5-star. But Pat Williams, any comments?
That's weird.
Yeah, the gym they playing.
I don't know. He just doesn't strike me as. He has the potential to be a really, really good player, but like
I thought he was Charlotte good. I didn't understand. When he went to Florida State, I was like, okay, that's like, it's cool. When I started seeing top 10 picks, I've never been more
he
confused.
averaged like he didn't start.
I live like 5 minutes away from bruh. Like,
And this is with all due respect. I think I would have preferred if he'd have stayed, especially with the type of program Florida State has, and Leonard Hamilton as a coach.
Give him at least 1 year start.
Yeah, if he would have stayed, they'd have got him right. He'd have been a phenomenal coach.
I feel like
really
that's too big of a gamble for you to be making as an NBA
But I feel
scout.
like it depends on
Which development teams do you believe?
like what team, what you need him for.
There had to be a team that just.
It has to be a team that
You're there
needs
for the
defense, like that needs someone to guard the 3 and the 4.
That's the player that needs to get in a good player
Right.
development place.
He would fit with the Warriors because they don't need him to shoot. Like it's like a type of situation where if you don't need him to shoot and you just need someone to play defense, that's the player you pick. He's not going to start all the time. Like he's going to be interchangeable.
It's
off
weird
like
because like,
6
who
man.
really wants this man? Like,
I mean, he's raw on the offense, but he has the worst assist to turnover ratio, so he can't pass. I don't know. I feel like since I watched him, it's surprising to me because like he seems kind of human. Like when I think of like top 10 players, I'm thinking like, yeah, I could never. I wouldn't even walk around you, man. Like
I feel like the right team and right development staff, his ceiling is Jimmy Butler. Like,
nah, Jimmy Butler's wrong.
but I'm saying like in the sense
Okay,
where,
developed, I see.
if developed right, his ceiling is Jimmy
From
Butler.
looking at
He'll give you maybe 17 one night and then 6 the next.
So like a taller,
needs
bigger
good player development.
Yeah.
his physical abilities, the way he plays, I think.
Like his intentions was there. Like,
I feel like
Or is
if
that-
Paul George was worse, he could do that. Like, I don't think he could meet up to Paul George standards, but he'd be a Paul George role player. I can't think of another player like Paul George that's like that. Maybe DeJounte Murray, but he's very low.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like two-way players, they're either really good or you don't really know about them.
Because they don't have anything that sticks out.
Yeah. Like Paul George, you cannot name me something Paul George does best.
He just doesn't
prime.
do good.
Like there's no Paul George does not have a
He doesn't have a
signature
defining
move. He
trait.
doesn't have a defining trait. He's just a very like that's why I
I
try
feel
to.
like he leans more towards defensive though. Like in past years, he's been more.
He averaged 27.5
I know.
Let's not get into Paul George because I will like no.
I knew Paul George for playing defense. Like
He's
me personally, like everyone knows him for different things. Like
You don't play
For defense.
he was locking them. He was locking people down. He was locking people down. Like,
He does lock up, but recently he's been getting exposed, so I
I'm
don't.
saying like in the I'm saying past years.
okay.
In past year,
Previous
he
game,
leaned
going
more
into-
towards a defensive player. Even though he was giving buckets, he was putting up points, but
I don't know if his defense is getting worse or the people he's playing are getting
it's
better.
gotten worse with time. It has gotten worse
Really?
with time.
I don't know, cause he be getting like it be bad. Like I be trying to help him out. I be like, no, he tripped on his foot.
I just think Paul George is like more of like an offensive threat.
Yeah, like
Really?
Offense,
Yeah.
I think he is two-way. They equal to me.
Yeah,
He was
just about
too late. Like,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. He was doing everything,
But like, I
but-
knew him for more of like he can get.
But in Indiana, he was leaning more towards a defensive. Cause
He was a bucket then.
He was a bucket.
I know what he was, but
Okay.
Bruh,
If you actually watched him play, like in
a cool 30.
if you watched the game, you gotta watch.
I ain't really watching.
I used to be a Pacers fan for that brief moment when they was going up against the Heat.
That brief moment. I'm talking about like consistently watch.
Oh,
Like
no.
2-3 years.
Yeah,
So,
he's solid. I think Tyrese. I know Patrick Williams. I'm gonna watch him. I want
You gonna watch?
G League wherever he goes. I'm gonna watch because like he didn't give me a good impression at first, so maybe he shows
He's
me
gonna be a
something.
bowl type. He shows something in the G League.
I think
I knew
Bol serious though. Like that, he could hoop. Like when he was in the bubble. And what happened? Why you ain't playing the playoffs? Did he get
I
hurt?
think yeah, one of the
I
games
think
in
they were
the bubble,
just-
they just took him out.
I think it was just like an experience type thing.
Oh,
It's
but
just
he was
not more
dogging.
I would
But in the games
have.
I would have kept him in for him, but I mean, they made it to Western Conference Finals.
And yeah, and as I said before on the podcast, I think Denver's will be a very special team upcoming. They got a lot of great pieces.
They need Hornets need data relevance and stuff.
Bruh, get me in there.
People
I'm
just need to steal the Nuggets developmental style because they're doing something right.
the Nuggets is beautiful. Like they
Like
draft. They don't even draft like
big
good players.
names,
Yeah,
but
it's just
they're just solid. And
they
develop.
made Jokic. He started playing basketball at 13, and they made him. Jokic to me is the best center in the
They
game.
took a build that you don't see in the
He's the
NBA
most
and made
skilled.
him a top 5 player
Yeah,
for his position.
you said top 5
For
player.
his position.
Top He's the best center in
He's
the
like
league.
number one, number two.
You could argue. You can argue that.
Who's who
Just
else?
think about
Hey, he
it.
plays center too. I mean,
AD
AD
is
is solid.
they consider AD a four.
I consider AD a 4 with LeBron.
Okay, well I have him interchangeable.
Nah, I'm talking about a true center.
True center. Okay, true center. Okay, yeah.
Like after him, Joel Embiid.
Yeah, true center is
That's kind of a
is
drop-off.
Jokic
It's
or
kind of a drop-off.
Embiid.
From Jokic to Joel Embiid,
It's a little bit
a
of
drop-off?
That's a little bit of a drop-off.
a drop.
A little
Chris,
bit.
what you think?
I said, look,
drop
not
off between
big.
Jokic and Embiid.
Yes.
So
I don't really. You can really
you guys
can't,
think they're interchangeable? Well,
you can't compare the two because they do two. They're two
For me,
different
that's
styles
like
of
saying
games.
A plus and A
I
minus.
I think
It's still
I think
A.
it's a little bit on preference. I would prefer Jokic based off of how he's done in matchups against like Embiid and how he's the success he's had. I don't know if there's a lot of talent wise. I don't know if there's a big like drop off. I would say, but I would have currently I have Jokic.
They both do what they do amazing.
Both very good players. Both very good
I
players.
just feel like Jokic should lead the team better than Embiid can because we saw that when they got swept. Like Embiid was, he did everything right. It's just like
That's
his
it.
team. Yeah.
He did everything right, but he couldn't motivate everyone else. Like his play
Yeah,
style.
Jokic will help you get a
Exactly.
bucket. Like there's no reason for you not to score.
And that's that thing that's a bit like that extra
Yeah.
flourish that makes Jokic.
That's-
That little drop off is where it comes in.
Yeah, so I'm not saying it's not a drop off. It's just like if
I
they don't have that in
interchangeable.
back,
Okay, for me, I don't see them as interchangeable.
They're not interchangeable. like
But it's a defined line between where him and Embiid stand.
now from Joel Embiid to the next player, next center,
Now
that's
it's
a
kinda-
drop off.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
Probably Cat.
Spot.
Cat.
Probably Cat.
Oh yeah.
I don't like Cat. I don't like him.
That's the three. Yes.
Well, to move back to the draft, we've limited. I think one thing you can take away from this episode is about player development. As I get to the last guy, I have a detailed type of scouting report before I kind of leave it off to y'all to talk about the best of the rest and who you guys think are sleepers potentially. One of my favorite players in the draft is Killian Hayes, international prospect. He's a pure point guard with 3-level scoring potential. Now, when I say this, y'all might freak out, but it's more of a watch the highlights type thing and watch his footage. But he has some moves similar to James Harden. There's a little bit of James Harden in his game. I can.
That's a bad thing, Neil?
No, that's just, I think it's the Steve kind of me saying.
Oh,
could be
okay.
a thing, yeah. But he has that type of potential.
He's watching.
Yeah, watch this.
His highlights.
Um,
I don't know. He said hard. I'm like,
He's a 6'5" point guard, so another big guard in this class. He's very comfortable in the half court. When I was looking at footage, when I was looking at highlights, a lot of guys you saw, most of their stuff was them making moves on the move in transition. One thing I saw that I liked from Hayes that kind of separated him was he was comfortable in the half court. He was able to create his own shot. It wasn't always fast break, all right, open layup, whatever. His weaknesses, because everybody in this draft has a weakness, there's no real great dominant prospect. His defense, he needs to work on that lateral quickness. I've said that a couple times, I feel. He's not a bad athlete, but he did get caught with some blow bys a couple times over in France, or in Germany, excuse me, Bundesliga. That's similar to my next thing, which is how will he look versus elite athletes. He's very left-handed in that.
Yeah, my player comparison is the Trev. Like, reading this, he's Trev. Like, extremely left-hand dominant as a driver, passer, and finisher.
He's extreme left-handed.
Like, lack of willingness to use his right hand limits him all over the floor. Like, I think I was hooping with Trev the other day, and I watched his game. I was like, yo, Trev really would not use his right hand. Like,
But I can.
but you don't. Like, you have a lack of willingness to use it. Like,
Yeah, I know.
like it was a layup. He could have just easily went right. He still made it, but it was like it was nasty to look at because it was like he did this. Like, it's not.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think I had him on my hip.
Yeah.
But if I went with my right, it was gonna be a block.
No, you could have went under. But it says. I mean, he doesn't. Besides the left hand thing, he's not really no weaknesses. I just keep seeing defensive intensity. Maybe he just doesn't feel like playing defense sometimes. But he turned the ball over on 25% of his possessions. That's not okay. So basically, for every 4 times he comes out in the court, he's gonna lose the ball once.
He had trouble dealing with pressure when I was looking at the film. He did need to work on ball
That
control.
sounds like me.
That could be coached though.
And that can be coached with reps and him getting, used to that.
Okay.
yo, Trev, some of us man really do play like
Yes. Killing him.
Let me look.
you. Like, he's not even that great of an athlete either. Like, I feel like you can actually.
Like, you kind of have like the jab and blow by. Like, that's really your signature to me. Not Trey, not doing that. No offense.
You don't know what I'm You don't know what's in my belly.
I can see you doing that.
Like, his shot kind of look like yours too.
And so who am I?
Yeah, you see the Harden, you see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, him and you.
You do play like me.
I told you,
So,
Like,
Trev,
that's
that's
the you was serious.
you were French and 6'5" and light skin. There you go.
Dang.
But yeah, I like his prospect if he can get the right development team.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of things in his tool bag that I think.
I can
Very
tell
positive.
he go left.
All right, for this last little segment here, we're going to talk about pretty much the best of the rest in the draft. Before I just cut them off, we were talking about Trey Jones, ranked pretty low by ESPN, I'm not sure.
30.
30th, yeah.
Last pick in the first round.
I admittedly a Duke fan, but in my non-biased opinion, I think he's one of the better point guards, I would say, in this class. It's not a really particularly strong class of prospects, but I think he's better than I think he's given credit for. His development over the past 2 seasons at Duke was phenomenal. Of course, we all know him for the defense, reigning Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC. We know he can pass. We know he can play make. His real concern was him developing a jump shot, and I saw him kind of improve his mid-range game. And if I can actually pull that up and see what his percentage were.
ESPN has him 10th as the best available guards. Is there anything on this list you feel like he's better than?
I like him better as an NBA prospect than Cassius. Even though Cassius Winston was a great college player, I think him being undersized and then what his game is going to be will.
I don't know if he's going.
I don't know.
He's 6'1".
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, Trey Jones' 3-point percentage, as I was mentioning, jumped from 26% his freshman year to 36% his sophomore year.
Okay, so he knows how to improve the jumper. So
His assists went up from 5.3 to 6.4. His rebounds went up 3.8 to 4.2. So just pretty much all around improvement. As he took on more of that leadership role at News.
I heard about
Kyrie Lewis,
Is he tough?
yeah, he's pretty tough. I think he averaged around 20 for Alabama. Kyrie Lewis, Jr. Another solid player. None of these guys in this range. I mean, who knows? You know, who knows
he's my weight at 6'3" though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is he's very small.
Y'all be getting on me.
That's body.
Y'all be getting on me now.
Yeah, especially
Yo, that's
He's not going up with no.
somebody I didn't see in the top 10, but isn't Tyrese Maxey in this draft?
Yeah. He's not in the.
No, he wasn't in the top 10. I didn't even think I saw him in the top 15. I can pull it up. But as I mentioned at the end of last week's episode, of course, Maxey's 15th. Him and Edwards Hire with Clutch Sports. Rich Paul, I know a lot of agents were hot about that. Again, Rich Paul is just better than you. I don't know why y'all so mad, Calm down. You see him making these moves for his
Paul got the connects.
that's why he's got the connects, He's more than just that LeBron connection at this point. Even though, I put him on, he's doing work. He's got a really nice list of clientele.
It's crazy. You really got to be concerned with somebody, son of Rich Paul. People gonna be teaming up.
Yo,
What does this mean for the league?
I'm still on bro being 6'3" and 165 because I'm not even big at 165.
I feel like at that point, what is your frame? Like, what can you? If
Like,
you already
look
want
him up,
to do
look
that
him
college
up.
game.
Necessity.
Because that's not okay. Because
I feel like-
I have trouble finishing at
And I
165.
feel like being at like a big school at Alabama, their main concern would be getting you to size.
Yeah, that's the whole thing coming out of high school.
Yeah,
That's
like,
what took the
so-
issue.
and then you
When you
like-
get to college, you're supposed to.
You're coming into the league 162. That's a big concern. Like,
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
cause like, what if he just the type of person where he doesn't put on weight? Like,
Bro, need to get a
175 is his cap.
Ooh, okay. He's very fast.
Yeah.
He's very.
He's 160. What do you? He has nothing more than that.
But like,
Bro, it's paper in the air, bro.
okay, but he finishes kind of
Like,
like it's very uncontrolled. Like it's like
So y'all.
he doesn't like contact. Like,
Is
you
it-
can see.
is
He can't take contact.
You don't have a choice in the league though.
Like Aaron Fox with.
He kind of is.
Damn,
That's
yeah,
it.
that's
He's got-
perfect.
It's also the hair kind of.
Yeah. Like I have not seen him take any contact.
If he takes contact, he's not winning. Like,
Bro, gonna get. Bro, he's gonna fly. Imagine him going against like LeBron.
He's
he
not.
might get. I feel like he might be injury prone
Him?
because
165.
of his weight. Because if he takes like the wrong
Okay, he
type of
can shoot.
contact,
I don't know.
so I think like he's going up against like say Joel Embiid in the pen.
That's scary, bro.
He's on the floor.
I mean, he's crafty though, so I guess it works. He's very crafty. He
But
knows.
there's players in the league that catch on.
I'm sorry, bro.
He's good at
Joel
avoiding
can catch
contact.
him in the air and hold him like.
I just hope he knows how to. If he can't develop that and put it in the league, that it's over for him. But like there's not a highlight where he touches anybody. Like
And that's another thing, like I mentioned earlier, I think the G League is going to be really important for this class because you got a lot of guys that have certain attributes, if you know what I'm saying, that are highlights, but they also have these weaknesses that need to be developed, and if they're going to reach these potentials they possibly have.
After that top 5, I think there's a few names like even in the top 10. There's people that are going to see Tom in the
G League for sure, yeah. Trying to look other guys.
RJ Hampton, which
RJ Hampton.
I think RJ gonna be nice.
I like RJ.
With time,
I think
RJ gonna be nice.
I think he's gonna be a nice role player.
I can see him being like the next generation of 6-man. Like 6-man. I can see him like Lou Will type role.
Highly regarded out of high school. Dropped a couple 40 pieces in the EYBL before he went to Australia. But in Australia, showed the athleticism was still there. But he loves to score, but he needs to become a more consistent scorer. He needs to work on that efficiency. He struggled with that in Australia. Led to some really ugly looking shooting splits and shooting nights. But the potential was there. He's a high upside player, but another guy, like I said, needs to be developed. He's 6'5", another big guard in his class.
What I've noticed about most players with like
The Celtics have 3 first-round picks.
they could get RJ Hampton. I feel like they should.
The Celtics always have an abundance
Sort
of
of
picks.
Shout out to the Brooklyn Nets for some reason auctioning off their future when they got KG and Papiers. They still have picks coming in.
He's a
Deni
genius.
is-
I feel like they should go for RJ.
So who doesn't have a pick then? So some team doesn't have a first-round pick then.
Yeah.
It's a couple.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I can't do it off of head. Let me see.
Wow.
The Mavericks don't have a first-round pick. Do they? No, they do. Who doesn't have a first-round pick? Because if they have 3.
Kings.
No, the Kings have a first-round pick. I don't think I saw the Trailblazers.
Better do.
Not a Trail. Who doesn't have a? I'm gonna just look it up. Because 3 first-round picks. You know what you? That's 3 decent
Trade
role
up.
players.
You can trade up.
You could trade up. Celtics type scary. Who's their GM?
Danny Ainge.
Oh, okay.
Man's a genius, bro.
That's who we need. The Hornets. God.
I mean, if the Hornets had Deni Ainge, they'll be good right now. Like, I'll tell you that right now. Shoot. But y'all sleeping on Miles Powell.
Miles Powell, yeah. I was going to let you get that info in.
Miles Powell, he's a little undersized, but and he's slept on because he's like a senior or whatever. But he can score.
Great scorer. Great scorer.
Score.
Seam Hall, if you haven't seen the highlights, go make sure you do that. Also, he's got some size too.
Yeah, he's got some size.
So the Grizzlies,
Not big.
they don't have a first-round pick. They only have 1 pick at 40.
What did they do? What did
No,
they trade away?
whoa, are they dead ass? Apparently, the Rockets don't have a pick whatsoever.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because what they traded.
They traded for
Yeah.
they traded all that picks for us.
They did.
Dang, they finished.
That's your man though.
Do the Clippers have a pick?
I ain't gonna lie.
The
They
Clippers-
They don't
yeah.
have a pick.
The Clippers have 1 pick at 57.
Okay, same.
They would be kind of messed up in the future.
The Thunder have.
I mean, think about last year, a lot of teams traded their futures though. Like we've seen this trend where like a lot of teams trade their futures for one player.
The 76ers have 5 picks, but they all in the 2nd round. I mean, they have 21, but yeah.
But OKC's gonna be sick.
Okay, see, honestly, I feel like they're gonna start throwing out picks for players. They gonna consider
They
that.
could do it.
It's
Because they have so many picks, they
They
can
gonna
just
start
throw
throwing out
The
extra
Timberwolves
players.
have 1 and 17. Like, those. The Timberwolves really.
1 and 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if Patrick Williams falls down because of his lack of ability to play, like score consistently, they should look at taking him at 17.
Yeah, it will balance out the D'Angelo Russell lack of
They would
defense.
give an actual defensive player in their like lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
we'll see. We'll see on.
I'm really interested. This might be one of the most interesting drafts we've had in a while.
Because there's like a lot. There's a lot.
Because there's no real dominant like.
Hey,
Yeah, it's no longer the Warriors. We kind of have to look at the draft to see who's going to be like.
real niggas.
Yeah,
And like on top of that, there's like a lot of interchangeable like names. Like,
yeah. In high school, we kind of just knew like, Warriors still got KD. Warriors got Curry and Clay. Oh, they just got KD.
you need the lines.
Hey,
So, yeah, everybody said go what they need to get out.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we ain't talking about that boy Vernon yet, dude. Cause what happened?
I don't know. I don't know.
He's
why
supposed
he's-
to be top 10.
I don't know why he's
Coming in.
I'm
He dropped
assuming it's.
so far.
I
He's
actually
like
don't
second round.
know. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
second round. Even during the season, he was lottery. I don't know exactly what happened.
He was playing good. I mean,
He was playing good. Even at his size, he's a bigger center. He still shows some touch, able to shoot a little bit. Of course, he was able to do work inside. His defense wasn't jail bad, so not sure. That could be a potential still. Later on, we'll see.
He has a lot of weaknesses.
Who?
Vernon Carey.
What did they say?
A lot.
Nagging injuries, struggles to defend in space. Okay. Doesn't see the floor as a passer, so a lot of great centers have been able to, especially guys like Jokic now. You see a lot of great big men that are passers. They say Carey is kind of got the issues now.
How low he is in reading all of that? You think he might go undrafted? Like you think that's a
He
possibility?
could be a bowl.
he's not. He's
I think he was super productive. I think he'll get drafted, but I don't know. He's a guy that might go straight to the G.
A
I
lot
feel like
of
both
people,
second.
yeah, a lot of people draft and they just go to the G League and that's pretty much
But
it.
they get some real players. Like, I mean, second round.
That's why he got a 2-way contract.
Yeah.
He's definitely gonna be on the two-way. I think.
They're kind of using it more like the MLB has their minor leagues. We're starting to see the
Like,
NBA
we
Yeah,
want
the G
to
utilize
League
it
is
as
starting to become something.
like a truly
There's nothing wrong going to the G League.
No, not
It
anymore.
used to be a point where players didn't want to go to
Like
the
Washington.
G League. They weren't going.
Yeah.
Now it's like legitimate.
But now it's like it's a stepping stone. In a sense now. Like,
They're making
it's
it.
not a knock.
They're making it better. It's starting to rise up towards
Honestly,
NCAA. Because I remember
G
back when
League,
it
they
was,
got some good comp, bro.
I remember back when it was like just the D League. People hated it.
Oh my gosh.
People hated to watch it. People trying to be in it.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of spit in the face when they sent you down to the D League, bro.
But now it's like
especially with
we
the
actually want it to get better. Like there's a reason.
They got guys like Kuminga, Green, Deshaun Nix. I know he's in that youth program. Kai Soto, shout out to the Philippines, and I forget the other guy. But yeah, G League doing work. Vernon Carey, I think, dropping because he's more of that. I think they said he's a throwback center.
Yeah, they said he is throwback center.
So I think that's kind of happening.
That's the reason why he dropped. That's the reason why he dropped. He's a throwback center.
Yeah. Can't really think of anything else.
I'm good.
So, without further ado, it's been a pleasure, fellas. I think it was a really good episode. Again, I want to do more of these type of specialty type episodes where we kind of focus on one thing, aside from the usual Monday sports entertainment recap. Those of you that come for this, come to the channel for that, they'll always be here. But almost like a secondary podcast, kind of diversifying. I'll talk about a bunch of different stuff. Won't even always be sports, so won't always be different type of guests. Yeah. That's it for episode 14. Ocho, signing off.